welcome back to another episode of Bushcraft Bums. We're here playing around in the yard today. So we figured we'd talk a little bit about fire prep. So whenever you hear about fire prep, everyone's always concerned with how they light it. Everyone's like, I load a fire with a bow drill, I load a fire with matches, I use the ferro rod, I use flint and steel. But more importantly than how you light it, that's just, one way. But more important than that, in my opinion, is how you stage the fire. If you stage the fire properly, you'll never have a problem lighting a fire, no matter what method you use for ignition. Alright, so the way I like to stage it, the first thing you're going to need is your tinder. This can be anything. Today we're just using curls of wood that we shaved up with our knife. Okay? And then after your tinder comes your kindling. And kindling comes in many flavors. Alright, so we're going to go through that. The first stage of kindling is going to be roughly matchstick size. So about the size of a matchstick. I got a bunch of stuff here. This stuff is so small and so prevalent, a lot of times you don't even notice it. It's all over the forest floor. Really, you spend 5 minutes anywhere picking this up. It's really thin, about the size of a matchstick. You need about 2 handfuls of this. This is what's going to allow the flame to transfer from the tinder to start burning bigger stuff. You need the most of this because this is what your fire is going to draw the strength from to go from its birth into its infancy. Okay? Start growing as an organism. Okay, once you have these, it's going to transition up to about pencil thick size, from matchstick to pencil thick. This is about this size sticks. All right, you're going to need, again, about 2 handfuls of those. Then this is going to take the bulk of your work gathering these, and then the rest of the stuff is fairly easy. From the matchstick, we go to about finger thick, which is about this size, about as thick as your index finger. All right, that's going to start getting, now by this time the fire is going to be going pretty good. You're kind of out of the danger zone. And then of losing it, and then you start moving up to like thumb thick, and then wrist thick over here, and then you build up from there to logs and everything like that. All right, so if you do your fire prep properly, you set the time aside to make sure you get all the stages correct, your fire is almost bound to be a success. Okay, today we're in the yard, so we'll be doing it in a fire pit, but I've set fires like this 100 times, more than that, on the ground, and it's been fine. If I'm setting on the ground, one thing I always like to do is I'll take a couple of sticks and I'll set them up on the ground first to make a little platform. I don't need that in the fire pit, but if I was setting a fire on the ground, what happens, the ground always retains moisture. Alright, even if it's not raining, at least here in the Northeast it does. So a lot of times if I was just to throw these curls on the ground and light them on fire, the heat would draw moisture up from the ground and the fire would end up extinguishing itself. So I like to use a little bit of a base. Alright, we won't be needing that today, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about is using a ferro rod. A lot of people, they like to use a ferro rod to light a fire, and they use they're searching around looking for the right kind of tinder. The reality is you can use any stick to make good tinder for a ferro rod if you have a sharp knife and you know how to do it. Okay, so I want to do that. We have some curls here that we did. We're going to do a little bit more of that now. Alright, so it's just a little stick. It's actually a little damp. The drier the stick, the better curls it's going to make. Okay, but what you want to do is find an edge. If it's a round piece of wood, you could split it so you get an edge. Alright, you're going to take your knife and you're going to make a nice fine curl. Okay, and I like just to curl them up. Some people feather stick them, but you don't have to. All right, this is catching a little bit because it's moist, but I want to try and find a nice good spot to get some nice good curls there. There we go. Once you get past to the dry wood, you can see it starts curling right up. All right, and these, you get a good bunch of these. These are gonna light. Okay, they could be a little more curly, but kind of work with what you got there. The key is to try and get as many nice flat shavings as you can, and the more curls you can get, the better it's going to be. Alright, so you get a good bundle of these going, and you're going to be able to light that up with a ferro rod. So we're going to pause the camera for a minute. I'm going to get a good tinder bundles going, and we'll tune you back in a sec. Alright, so we've got a decent pile of shavings here. The wood's a little damp, so we'll do the best we can. I'm going to open up our little kit here. We got all our little accoutrements in here. You got your flint and steel, you got your petroleum jelly, cotton and all that. We're going to use our ferro rod here. We're going to try and get a decent spark going. Now a lot of times when people try to light stuff with a ferro rod, they have this idea that they should just be able to flake a spark off on there and it's going to burst into flames. And the way the ferro rod gives hot sparks, they're very short-lived, so that there's not a long enough contact with the tinder for it really to ignite. So what I like to do is really pin my tinder to the ground with my ferro rod and then hit it with multiple strikes. Sometimes it takes a little while. There we go. We got a little flame going there. So we're going to put this right in the fire pit. This bark will act as our little barrier here, and then I'm going to start with my matchstick tinder, getting this on there and getting it going. we should be in business. Want to be careful with this flame while it's in its infancy. I put a big dollop on there and I start positioning the little pieces over. If you're a smart woodsman, you'll gather 4 handfuls of this size, so this way you have some for the morning in case your fire goes out. So the last thing you want to do is start gathering sticks before you make your coffee. Alright, so we got this going, so we're already in business. Now I can start laying this up. If I wanted to do a special kind of fire, or log cabin or something, I can start working that into play now, but I don't need to for today's purposes. Alright, we start adding this on, and once we're through this, we're pretty, I mean, that ain't going anywhere now. That's a good fire. Alright, so we got our stages of kindling, fire prep, alright, as well as making shavings and lighting them with a ferrocerium rod. Alright, we're going to be back in business. We're going to be trying to do this a little more often. If you guys have any requests, feel free to shoot us an email, and we'll figure it out. bushcraftbums@gmail.com. Alright, I hope everything's going good, and we'll check in with you soon. Thanks for watching.